our peeps, geeks, and fellow freaks. We are going to go over Justice League today, the Zack Snyder Cut.
Hooray! We're glad that we made it this far for 4 years.
I'm just glad Zack Snyder got the cut. He kind of deserved it.
I mean, yeah. I do think it's kind of scummy that WB wanted this whole film to be 2 hours, because when you get to see the whole thing that he put together, it's just like, yeah, this could not have fit 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's go over our overall non-spoilery thoughts, and then I guess we can just go whole ham on this thing. Alright, you want to go first, SithScott?
Just call me SithScott. Watch it. But yes. So, a non-spoiler, I'll try to keep myself not spoiling anything, because I spoiled the last thing the first time I got questioned to do the non-spoiler review. Anyways, so, this film is actually pretty good. If you have any big criticisms of Snyder's work, you might still find some nitpicks here and there. But overall, this is a pretty solid story, a solid movie, and for 4 hours long, it's pretty entertaining. There are definitely some slow bits and some moments that you feel like probably don't need to be there. But at the same time, I feel like they're eventually supposed to be payoffs for later on in the series or the thing he had planned. Overall, though, this movie was actually pretty solid, pretty good. If you liked the other Justice League, then you'll actually might be in my same boat, where you're actually kind of surprised at how much of the same stuff there is in here. It's just there's a lot more to it. This isn't much different in terms of the story and how everything goes from point A to point B from the first Justice League. The only big difference is that there's more exposition and more character involved.
Yeah, Josh Whedon's cut was basically trimmed down, but we lost a lot of that connective tissue. With the Zack Snyder cut, we got the connective tissue, so we actually understand why people are going from point A to point B. But we also got a lot of fat, and of Snyder just being Zack Snyder and having fun, which is fine.
If you were making a DC Superman Justice League movie, you'd probably want to have fun with your thing. He's like the little kid who plays too much with his toys.
That is true. And for me, I feel like this movie is overall like it wants to be the Lord of the Rings of the superhero movies, but not even the people who made Lord of the Rings could recreate Lord of the Rings.
Nope, we saw that with The Hobbit.
Oh, that Hobbit.
Maybe we'll do another movie about the Hobbit series and the Lord of the Rings series later on.
Hobbit should have just been 2 movies.
That also requires you to watch the whole Lord of the Rings! No sleeping! And fine, we won't watch the extended.
For those of you at home wondering, he made me watch Lord of the Rings, I fell asleep, and now he's bitter.
It was just the Fellowship of the Ring!
Okay, so is there any other non-spoilery things you want to add?
I guess one big thing you might notice is some of the jokes that made it in the trailer and in the Joss Whedon version you might have liked and you might feel bad about them not being here, but most of those are actually in here. Those are actually Snyder jokes. So, good on Snyder. He's getting better at his comedy.
Mm-hmm.
There's still some cringe comedy, but there's also a lot of actually good comedy.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like this movie is worth your time. It wasn't worth the lag we sat through.
Yeah, HBO Max during the day this released was very, very laggy and buggy. I'm assuming it might be because of all the people on their servers trying to watch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should have waited a day or two, because when we tried watching the Superman movie the day afterwards, it was a lot better. Still had a few bits and pieces here of buffering, though.
Yeah, also, side note, we watched Superman, Man of Tomorrow, which was amazing. And I know it won't get the respect it deserves because it was anime, but that was very good.
And a movie that actually does well with Superman. Apparently that's hard to do now recently.
I don't know why. Okay, so we done? Spoiler time?
We can get into the spoiler.
Okay, good. What is the thing you want to talk about most?
Why is there so much slow-mo in this movie?
Oh.
Really?
Because Zack Snyder, he likes his slow-mo action fight scenes.
Like, some of it, like the Steppenwolf fight when they first encounter him, is pretty darn cool. That slow-mo's cool because we get to see the Flash doing the slow-mo, though. It's not the movie doing the slow-mo, it's the Flash. But then we have moments where like the Wonder Woman slow-mo scenes in the beginning, and it's just like, these are unnecessary. There's like maybe 1 or 2 parts in the Wonder Woman thing that I could see being slow-mo. The other entire half of that scene was slow-mo for no reason.
And that is some of the fat we were talking about. Like, Zack Snyder loves his slow-mo. Like, he has slow-mo in a few scenes just so he can hear a song playing. And be like, oh, Zack Snyder loves his songs and probably has a good playlist. Actually, I wouldn't mind that.
Did they really have to do slow motion on the girl sniffing Aquaman's sweater?
Wait, they did slow motion on that?
It looked like it was slow motion.
It might have just been a slow scene.
Fine, maybe. Still felt like it was. But that wasn't necessary at all.
What, you don't want a girl sniffing Aquaman's sweater?
No! I don't know why they keep bringing this whole god complex with Aquaman and with Superman, in the sense that they're being worshipped.
Yeah, that's kind of fair. Though, I mean, it kind of makes sense since Aquaman, like, saves a town in this.
I mean, it also is fair because he saves a town frequently. Apparently, during this whole ice season, they have no shipping, no amount to get their resources. So that's when he comes in and gives them resources and food. So he kind of saves them periodically whenever a big storm hits.
So at that point, I think at some point they just start treating him like a normal person.
Yeah, they treat him as a normal person, like after the full first scene of Aquaman. They should have just did a much better job of that. I almost think I like the Whedon version of the first Aquaman scene just because they got rid of all that crap.
Yeah, like that didn't really add much. It was just kind of weird. Like, there's this scene where Aquaman leaves and people just kind of start singing, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, if you like tribal singing for random reasons, this has all of it for you.
Okay. I guess we're going to music now, but like, I'm not sure it was tribal music. I think it was called ancestral music, excuse you.
Ancestral and chanting, I don't know. Just a bunch of chanting with music in the background.
And they do this every time with Wonder Woman when it cuts to her. Like,
Wonder Woman shows up, and she has some random chanting music going on. Like, it's pretty good, I think, in the beginning when we see it happening. But I don't like that they kind of override her main theme song with it. Mm-hmm. Her theme song did justice with her, and it was great when it had the one moment of her having the theme song with the chanting behind it. But they remove her theme song from it, so it's just the chanting every single time we see Wonder Woman again after that.
And then her theme song will kick in later, but it's just kind of distracting.
It is.
Oh, and also I noticed with the music, it's not a very good transition from music to music. Like, Zack Snyder loves his music and does not allow very many moments of silence in this movie. And I think his music choices are good, but it was just so jarring when we'd go from one character to another, and then suddenly, like, say, with Wonder Woman's theme, ancestral music would suddenly start playing right in contrast to the rock song or whatever had been playing. Like, music cues for characters are a common thing in media, especially movies, where you go from one character, you switch it to their music. But it was just so jarring and noticeable for me that it kind of made me appreciate how seamless it is in so many other movies.
Yeah, and I think that reminds me of a big problem I think in just Hollywood in general is that they are very afraid of having quiet scenes. They want to make sure that you're engaged in the movie, and I think that kind of affected Zack Snyder in this. Because he literally likes to have music in every scene regardless if it should be one that has music in it or not. If it's supposed to be a serious scene, he'll just randomly have like a random background music in it that will sometimes fit the situation and sometimes it won't.
But still, I liked all his music choices in this.
His music choices were great, yeah. It doesn't always fit with what he's trying to go for, but they're really good music. Like, the soundtrack I'm sure is going to be amazing once it releases. If we get Justice League Zack Snyder soundtrack.
I demand Justice League Zack Snyder soundtrack.
Release the Snyder Cut soundtrack.
Yes!
I don't know if I want the whole next DCEU thing coming on from him, but I do want the Snyder Cut soundtrack.
Oh. Yes, definitely. Okay, so we talked about the slow-mo. Okay, you want to talk about some of the characters?
So, because we just did a big thing of being negative, I want to do more of the things that's a positive thing for him. One of the characters that I feel get a lot of good screen time and a lot of good representation in this is Cyborg.
Oh, I know. Like, that was... like, Cyborg is baby. Best character.
Yeah, Cyborg is great in this. Whereas in the first Justice League, he had almost no time on the screen except for to explain what the mother boxes were. But in this, he gets basically his whole story. He gets this whole, like, his own cyborg world where he gets to expand upon who he is and how he feels about the world. And you get to see it all through wonderful imagery. But it also shows that he actually has a relationship with this world and with a relationship with his dad, be it not always a good one.
And they actually made me care about the mom.
Which is interesting, because, yeah, the mom is always generally a dead character in DC Comics. It's one of those, like, Uncle Ben things.
Like, I mean, wasn't super caring of her, but, like, I still cared, you know? Like, I cared when she died, but I'll admit part of that was because of how affected Victor Stone was.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think our investment was more in the fact of how invested Vic was in his mother more so than we were. Because he definitely genuinely looked like he cared about his mother and everything that went on it. And that it just expounds even more upon how just angry he was with his dad for bringing him back to life, but not his mother.
Cyborg was so good. And it really made me appreciate how good Ray Fisher is as an actor. Like, he has this one cry face, and I was just like, oh, that felt like a real cry face. Like, dang, Ray, you got screwed in the Whedon cut.
Yep.
And not just because Whedon was a terrible person to you. Also, Ray better come back as Cyborg.
I hope so. I hope we get more Cyborg moments, but they really need to work on their CGI with Cyborg. It's not, like, bad, it's just...
ugly?
Yeah, it's ugly.
Why is it Teen Titans cartoon Cyborg is still best Cyborg design? And that's not even what I particularly want out of a Cyborg design.
Yeah.
Like, my ideal Cyborg design keeps up with ever-changing technology. Like, I feel like nowadays Cyborg should be much more sleeker and less bulky, more nano-like technology.
That would be pretty cool.
Also blue.
Also blue.
Sorry, I'm sick of the red. I am.
We want the blue back.
I am sick and tired of the frickin' red that makes him look evil.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen a big white one yet. That's how big technology androids apparently are looking now.
No, don't do that to me. I am good with the silver. I don't need Apple Cyborg. You are banished if you bring up Apple Cyborg.
We have Cyborg at home. Cyborg at home. This is...
yeah. Though I'm still a little sad that they killed off Cyborg's dad, and I didn't really feel that necessary.
Yeah. It really didn't. I mean, they do explain a little bit of he helped them find the cubes this way, but Steppenwolf literally had like an entire town just have this giant like energy pulsating from it. So I don't think he really needed to use that to find Steppenwolf if they were able to just congregate on things that are not unnatural energy sources that are in natural areas. Bruce Wayne isn't that dumb. Which, by the way, he's not actually that dumb in this one.
I know, he's so much better in this one.
And one thing that I really didn't like about the Whedon's Snyder Cut is showing how much invested into Superman Batman was. And this one, he isn't all that invested in him.
Like, he's invested, but he's not overly invested. Like, he regrets his decision. He knows he did wrong, wants to do better, and make up for it. But he's not like, oh, he was the hope and I killed the hope for the whole world.
He had more humanity than me. I hated that line. Glad that wasn't actually in Snyder's version. And I do like their whole reasoning for bringing him back was the mother boxes were scared of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that they were like, we need a 6th person because Justice League needs 6. It was, these guys don't like him. That means he's going to be good for us.
Yes. And Superman, once he came back, he was pretty chill with me.
He was okay, but I think that's the problem. He's a Superman. He's only okay. I mean, we see, during the final fight, I do like his just standing there looking epic and taking all the hits. But it also makes me feel bad because it always reduces the strength and the charisma and the stamina of like Wonder Woman and Aquaman, who have just as much strength and stamina as Superman's supposed to have. But they always get nerfed whenever they're brought together because Superman has to be looking like the big guy who's on top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we still had the evil Superman for a hot minute thing.
Yeah, we still had to have that whole trailer scene of them fighting. And then Lois just shows up out of nowhere because she likes showing up with 2 things of coffee to give to the police officers that like to keep vandalizers off the statue monument.
Oh, okay.
But that's all we see of Lois Lane.
Yeah, and Lois was not, like, they keep talking like she's the key. She barely does anything in this. And also, she might be pregnant.
They're going to be bringing that in. But that does make me excited if we did go more of the DCU, because the only thing I want out of Snyder with his film and technology is an Injustice continuation. Because his role and his goal of moving forward with dark and gritty and stylistic, with a lot of philosophy behind everything he does, that is the Injustice universe.
Mm-hmm.
That is it to a T.
Oh, he'd do great with Injustice Batman.
He would love it. Which is why I don't like that he's trying to write Superman like an Injustice Superman in a sense, but removing all of the hope and humanity from Superman.
So when, well, I'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in
We can
Injustice.
talk about that when we go later. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I think we can probably talk about how much more likable Batman was. Like, he actually seemed to have chemistry with people and characters. And Alfred was great sassing him.
And I like that they actually had a chain of him working on trying to find Cyborg and the Flash and Aquaman, rather than him just instantly knowing where they're at. We see moments of looking at cameras, finding things that are going on, trying to figure out, like,
He
what
actually kind of felt like a detective.
Felt like he was actually doing work. Instead of, ironically, they do a fun scene where they ask who Alfred is, and Bruce just says, oh, I work for him. And it's just like, that's how it felt like in the first Justice League. Alfred did all the work, and Bruce was just there to be Batman. This one actually felt like Bruce Wayne was doing things, being proactive, and working on finding his detective skills and refining them. And it worked out, I think, pretty well, I think, better in this sense. Because I really do like, as much as it's fun to say, like, Batfleck, I really do like Ben Affleck as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
He makes a pretty good Batman, even if he does have the little chubbiness going on.
It's muscle, thank you.
Fine.
But yeah, oh, there's this one great picture online of like tiny little Batfleck, and they're doing the little tummy tickles, and I'm kind of tempted. I wish I had like a plushie of Batfleck, Ben Affleck's Batman to do, because like it's like so chubby. Even, like, I know it's muscle, but I'm like, tickle, tickle. I'm a bad person. I'm a bad person.
Just a little bit. Nah.
Okay.
I will say I was not thinking of that.
What, you weren't thinking of, you want a Ben Affleck Batman plushie?
No, I wasn't. Granted, I wasn't thinking of any plushies that I'd really want.
Okay, so how'd you like Wonder Woman?
Wonder Woman was fine. She was Wonder Woman in this.
But she's like more warrior Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
She's like, I got the sword, the lasso's secondary. Well, meanwhile, like, Wonder Woman's like, lasso's first, sword is secondary.
Yeah, that's fair. She is a lot more aggressive in this one, too.
She lops off a guy's head.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I think, moments where I think Wonder Woman could have been done better or differently. But I don't think it's necessarily that bad. Especially because, well, I guess this could be a con. But she doesn't really get much focus on. Which then makes the ending kind of jarring because she tries to talk sense to Superman. Which she has, like, no actual, like, relationship with him. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
We're reviewing it like it was the actual theater cut rather than...
Fine. But I still want to say it's still supposed to be part of the DCEU in the sense that it's all Snyder's films. This is the epitome of Snyder moving up to the Justice League. This is his end goal, basically, before he was able to actually expand upon it. Mm-hmm. So I'm still gonna, in a sense, put it in a similar category of the free films previously, but I will say that this is the best film that he's done of all the ones that he did for DC.
Yeah.
Even if there are some continuation problems.
Mm-hmm. And what I'll say also, backtrack to the Wonder Woman, she was a bit stiff and boring and not as much of the heart.
Yeah, but
she
we
did
didn't
have
really
some
have
cool...
anyone be the heart of this.
I guess that's fair.
Alfred is the heart!
I mean, Alfred was great with all his sassy lines and trying his best to keep everything together with duct tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually probably Cyborg was the heart.
Oh, that's fair.
Cyborg probably had the most... Well, he had the most heart, I think, in this, just in the sense that he went from basically trying to be a recluse person to not wanting to deal with society in general because of his thing as a cyborg to actually proactively going to help the world.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we said our piece on Wonder Woman.
I guess. I think that's the biggest problem with this film is that Wonder Woman doesn't get a lot of good moments.
She had great action scenes.
Yeah, but that's to
everyone.
be expected. I don't think anyone had a bad action scene. We had the cringe scene of the Flash.
Oh, we want to talk about him?
That was an action scene for you.
Okay, Snyder introduces everyone with like a scene and a little action beat and a song. And when he introduces the Flash, he has this really awkward scene where he's trying to apply for a job and sees who I assume is Iris West, his love interest, and they just stare intently at each other as she's leaving the place and getting into her car, and she stares at him while she's in her car driving by, and he stares at her, and it's just like, chill!
Yeah, that was awkward.
And then it gets even more awkward when she gets into a car accident and he goes to save her, and he's caressing her face. Rick, what is that? That's creepy.
I don't know.
That's weird.
I think the weakest character in this film is the Flash. It's weird because he wasn't the weakest character in the first Justice League.
But he wasn't necessarily the best character.
He wasn't a good character, but he wasn't the weakest link. In this one, he is by far the weakest link. And I think that's a problem in the sense they don't know how to write a Barry Allen. I think that's a problem with a lot of stories nowadays of the Flash.
Why? Because they always make him have...
They either be a Wally West or a Bart Allen. And they just think Barry is that.
Who, in case you're wondering, are Barry Allens who take up the mantle when Barry Allen dies. Both these characters.
As much as I, have grievances with the CW shows, they actually do pretty decent with getting Barry Allen. And I kind of was hoping that they would have another situation like that in this, where we'd see a little more of that kind of a Barry Allen. But no, this isn't even close to either of. This isn't really Bart or Wally. This is just a whole different version of the Flash.
Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily a version I like. Like, he's very much coded as non-neurotypical, I think is the term. But, it's not in a way that grows empathy. It's in a way of, please stop talking.
Yeah. One thing I will say that I'm kind of more annoyed at is that scene where he does go to save Iris from the thing. Whenever you see the Flash in comics, whenever he runs from one place to another, he vibrates at a frequency to move through all solid materials to get to the place where he wants, so he doesn't leave any tracks in his wake, so they can't see that. In this one, he breaks everything getting there. There is nothing safe.
It was one glass door, excuse you.
And the entire road.
I mean, yeah, that is fair. That is fair. It was indeed a road. Oh, and like, I'm still not over the caress because like, she appeared to be reacting to it and was into it. Like,
how do you are into something you don't even understand is going on?
Cause like that has happened like instantaneous. Like, whapam, whapam. It happens.
Yeah.
And how is she? Like, it's just so weird. Also, like, if you're gonna caress your love interest cheek, wait till they're out of mortal danger. Ariel from The Little Mermaid got that. She wasn't caressing Eric's cheek while he was drowning.
Imagine if she died because he was too busy caressing her cheek, then she got killed by the truck. He's like, whoops! I mean, to be fair, that could have been a good way for him to show off his time travel thing.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna backtrack to the slow-mo a little bit. Like, when he was saving her in that scene, there was this, the guy that crashed into Iris was trying to get his burger, and we just see this one freaking sesame seed in slow motion off the bun, and it's just like, Zack Snyder, I think you're taking your slow-mo a little
This
far.
is the tragic scene because the burger was lost.
Though I did like Barry's interactions with his dad. Like, that was genuine.
That was genuine, yeah. I liked it too.
Because, like, he goes to see his dad in prison, and he's talking about, like, I'm trying to apply to get into these places, and I'm studying forensic science. And his dad's, like, telling him, move on with your life. And she's like, gosh, didn't really care.
Yeah. It was so sweet. And I do like that he still has some fun lines to his dad. Especially the, you're in prison because you were falsely accused, and you're wondering why I'm trying to go into criminal justice.
Like, that was kind of clunky exposition, but it was also, like, sassy, and I could almost feel like people would say it.
Yeah, I could see that as a thing people would say.
Gee.
You wonder!
Yeah, and his powers were a bit funky towards the end of the movie.
I don't know if they were really consistent with the Flash's speed or powers. Especially because he gets freaking shot out of nowhere for no reason. Ah, I hated that scene.
And then he reverses time.
Like, you could do that without the reversing of time. You could just be too slow, because that's one thing that happens a lot in the comics, where the Flash is just too slow for no reason. He just comes to places late, even though he has super speed. I think it's kind of a joke they like to pull with him. They could have just done that without having to actually give a reason to him.
Yep. So I guess we're speaking of Aquaman now.
Yeah.
Aquaman, like, he was a little too serious in the beginning for my taste, but once he chilled out and more became like that bar bro, surfer dude, who's still cooler than you.
Yeah. As I said, the whole first scene of Aquaman is just awkward. But I think that's why I liked the scenes later after that, because it felt a lot more fleshed out with Aquaman, and he felt a lot more invested as a character. We see that with him interacting with Mira for the first time, and with Moko.
Unlike the Whedon cut where they seem to know each other but also not.
That made no sense, and it doesn't make any sense for his interactions in the Aquaman movie either, because in that one it shows of him going there for the first time, whereas in the Justice League movie before that, he apparently knew everyone in Atlantis for no reason. So, yeah, this one at least explains that it was his first time in Atlantis.
And he was only pointed to go to that little place by Vulko, and it might not have even been part of the main Atlantis.
Yeah, it could have just been a part. But I will say that Vulko does not need that hair at all.
Oh my gosh, that was a costume choice for Vulko. Like,
I am so happy they did not keep that for the Aquaman movie.
Long hair with super detailed, buffed up armor.
That was not how he's supposed to be.
Oh, come on, you haven't even read the Aquaman comics.
I don't need to read the comics to know that.
That did not look good on William Dafoe.
No, I'm glad they went the other route with Aquaman, because he was so much better. But we're talking about Aquaman the character, so that was a bit of my own tangent. But otherwise, yes, Aquaman is great here. We see him actually interact with the other characters. That's something we didn't get to see in the first Justice League. He actually talks and explains things, and it feels a lot more worth his whole lines at the end where he's talking about being with the Justice League.
And, like, he had a lot of fun lines, like, when he was riding on Batman's car, and he's like, you really are crazy. Yeah!
We're fighting a bunch of demons and supernatural forces. You're just a guy in a bat costume. Yeah.
like once Aquaman loosened up, he was great.
Yeah.
And now we know why Aquaman does stuff.
We actually get to see his train of thought for going from where he is to Atlantis, to saving a boat, to helping people help, and then going back to actually like trying to save them from everything. Like, everything is pieced together so well in this. And I'm kind of happy that it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes a whole lot more sense to why things happen, rather than in the first Justice League, where it's just almost entertaining and hilarious to just see Aquaman show up for no reason whatsoever everywhere. She's like, he's here, now he's here, now he's here, now he's here. Okay, but how? What? How'd you even know about this place?
Yeah. Okay, any other characters you want to talk about?
And we could try talking about Superman.
We already kind of talked about him.
I feel like that's probably worth it.
What, you want to talk about him more?
No. They pretty much just made the Injustice Superman. He's not
But
supposed to be.
like pre gone crazy.
Yeah, he's still going crazy, but pretty much, yeah, he's just... They're forcing him to be an Injustice Superman. That's what I don't like. He's supposed to be like this super beacon of hope, and then he cracks of too much pressure, and then he turns crazy. In this one, he's just steadily getting crazy.
Like, this is the Superman you understand is only caring about the world because Lois Lane is in it.
Yep.
And as soon as she goes, shh. Though it's still weird to think that in the future he might team up with Darkseid still.
That was weird. Though I will say that little future vision of Darkseid is probably the best scene we had at Darkseid. The other scenes of him were just him standing around. This is nothing interesting.
Oh, do we want to talk about Darkseid and Steppenwolf?
Sure. They're characters.
They serve their role as villain.
Pretty much.
Steppenwolf's armor was great, though.
Steppenwolf's armor was pretty cool because it was all dynamic looking and it like moved as he walked around and talked and fought. Like, it was pretty cool even though it was still kind of weird CGI.
Yeah, like, it was ugly, but its concept was freaking cool. Like, it moves when it breathes with him, and because it moves, it can also spit out things like if he gets stabbed with, like, say, a spear or a few arrows, it can just go bloop, and it's out. Like, that was fun. But I'll admit, I still don't like Steppenwolf design that much. I'm a Jack Kirby fangirl. Like, no, I haven't gotten around to the New Gods comics where Steppenwolf originated from by Jack Kirby. But I still like the designs that I've seen better. Because, like, I'm just a sucker for them. Jack Kirby designs will always be a win for me, even if they're a little cheesy. Like, in the comics, Steppenwolf had this ridiculously big hat. I know that would never make it look good in a live-action movie, but I'm still more partial to them. Especially Darkseid's design. Like, but then again, I've also been ruined by the DC animated universe, which had a really good Darkseid. Like, he's still the evil Ooga Booga, the super big bad in charge of Steppenwolf. But he has a great voice actor and some really golden evil lines. Like, seriously, if you haven't, look him up online and on YouTube. Like, there are some really good ones you can find of just Darkseid saying some great stuff.
So my thoughts on Darkseid is he looks better with the armor when he has it on. They show him before everything without the armor as he comes, and they explain the backstory of him coming to Earth to try to take it over the first time. And he doesn't have the Omega armor yet. He doesn't have his Omega powers yet. All he is just a guy with a big sword.
And he looks so bad without his shirt on.
Terrible without his armor. Like, it's just atrocious that they still have the Omega symbol on him. But it doesn't belong there. Like, it feels like they just, like, branded the Omega symbol on his chest.
How do you think that went? You think he just went to a tattoo place and was like, I want this, but I don't want a tattoo, I want, like, brand.
I want a brand, and I want it really deep. Like, almost right to my heart deep. just seems like a really bad idea, especially for someone who wants to go to battle. I want to conquer planets, but have my little skin between my heart really, really small.
Also, how did Darkseid lose the freaking planet? Like, they have this, like, Darkseid comes to conquer Earth, like, 5,000 years before or whatever, and he, loses to all the gods, Amazons, and Green Lanterns, and whatever's defending Earth, and he loses to them, and he retreats, and then they refer to Earth as the Lost Planet, as in, like, maybe they just mean that it's lost because they didn't conquer it. But when Steppenwolf brings this up to Darkseid, he's like, oh, the Lost Planet. So I'm like, you forgot where this planet that kicked your butt was at?
You'd think they'd keep that on the radar, places not to go back to.
And, like, Steppenwolf also tells him there's an anti-life equation here. Like, they don't explain what that is at all, but Darkseid's, like, super into it. And rather than come and get it himself, he's like, yeah, Steppenwolf, you can do that, and then I'll come. You have this soup thing that is on the planet that kicked your butt that you really, really want. And instead of going there to help out your lackey, you're just like, yeah, you go do that for me, buddy. I am gonna stand here and look all super duper serious. Yeah, man. And then I'm gonna be mildly disappointed when you lose and go do it myself. And it's just like, yeah, no, maybe if you had helped him out the first time, you could have won and gotten the thing you wanted.
Nah, that's not Darkseid. He's not gonna help people. Just let all those people die before it's only him. That's clearly what he does all the time, right? Yeah, that was just... The villains here are just your average CGI villains. They're nothing special. Even Darkseid isn't nothing special. I mean, heck, Thanos wasn't anything special till Infinity War, though.
And I'm still a little 50 on 50 on how good Thanos was.
I mean, we had a lot of people who wanted to join Thanos in his attempt to erase half of the population, even if his science didn't exactly make sense. I think it might have been just his charisma, though, than anything. And I feel like Darkseid isn't supposed to have that kind of charisma. He's just supposed to be, I am amazing. But in this, he doesn't even feel like he's that really amazing. He's just your CGI villain.
Yeah, like, that was one of the things I really liked about the DC animated universe. Is, okay, Darkseid has this one line of, like, I am many things, Kal-El, but here, I am God. And he felt like, yeah, this is a guy who would be revered as a god on his own planet. Darkseid doesn't invoke that kind of awe and fear and reverence in me in this one. I mean, I shouldn't be too super complaining because it's a small role he has.
Yeah, there's not much. I'm sure if we got to see more of him, it might make us more invested, similar to how these characters worked out. Though I don't know if I'll ever be really invested in the Flash if they keep writing him like this.
Like, I don't mind a different take, it's just not a take that super appealed.
This is like the take of a guy who has nothing better to do than save the world. And even then, he's just like, he's such a bother.
Hey, he had that really great scene with Batman when Batman showed up at his place.
Yes, he did.
And he's like, I'm in.
It's like, wait, why? I need friends. Are you okay, man?
Or, what's your superpower? I'm rich.
Yeah, we've already seen that one.
Why? Because it was in all the trailers?
That was the big thing in the trailers that everyone was like, this is the best line ever.
And that was a Zack Snyder.
That was a Zack Snyder line. It wasn't even a Whedon joke.
Like that. You would have thought that would have been a Whedon joke, but no.
It sounded like it was. That definitely sounds like his kind of cheese.
Also, can we not let Whedon work in the industry again with how badly he treats people?
If he starts treating them better, maybe.
I mean, I do really like his stuff. Can we just, like, take his...
He's not a bad director, he's just a bad person. And I don't know how you're supposed to separate that. Because, like, you don't want him to be working with people because he's a terrible person, but you also want him to be working on movies because his movies are pretty fun.
Except for Justice League.
Except for Justice League, but that's because he had, like, 4 months to make a film with 4 hours of stuff, and he's just going, I don't like any of this.
So, Zack Snyder probably should have given more credit, because, like, that did have a lot of his stuff in there.
It did. I think I don't know if it truly is like accurate to say that only like 30 minutes of it was all Snyder, because I definitely felt like there's more than just 30 minutes of it in the first Justice League movie.
Wasn't it like 30%? He said
something like that.
But yeah, like he should have given more credit to himself.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more. It's just the problem is that the connective tissue was kind of just rooted out to put a Whedon thing in between two Snyder stuff, and that kind of messes things up. But I will say that I like the Whedon, even though the Whedon Superman lines were cheesy, I liked them. Because they were definitely a lot more hopeful and humane compared to the Superman that we got.
That's the Superman you want.
That is the Superman I want. I want more of that.
Like, he was, like, even with so little, he was so much more inspiring and hopeful. Like, too bad we can't just take Whedon's Superman and stick him in the Zack Snyder movie.
Like, I honestly didn't think Henry Cavill could actually act a good Superman until I saw the first Justice League. And then I was just like, where the crap have you been? And then we are going back to the Snyder Superman, who is just angst.
And kind of bland.
And yeah. It's like, yeah, he has this whole Jesus mantra, but at the same time, it's just like, why do people worship this guy? There is no point.
Power. Even
with the power, there's still not a point. It's just, this guy doesn't evoke this Superman does not evoke the charisma necessary for people to worship him. Aquaman, I can 100% see that happening.
Yeah, though, my problem with people worshiping Aquaman is that he ends up feeling too human and too much like the dude you'd have a drink with.
Yeah, but I think that's why they worship him. Give me more beers. You do it.
Okay, now I want to talk about a character that probably shouldn't have been here, and is a major spoiler.
Oh, okay. I know that character then.
Martian Manhunter.
Yeah. He shows up for 2 scenes. And by that, like 1 scene.
What are you doing here? What are you... I know that this is closer to Zack Snyder's original vision and was trying to build up for stuff. But like, you don't need to do that, man. This isn't building up for anything anymore. Like, why do you have Martian Manhunter here?
I wouldn't have minded Martian Manhunter at the end, as long as we didn't have the first, like, 2 scenes of him in the beginning.
Yeah, like, he was there talking with Lois, but he was pretending to be Martha Wayne. Not Martha... Martha Kent.
Martha Wayne's dead. That would have been awkward.
Martha Kent. And it's just, like... Why, dude? If you're here doing this whole kablooey thing, why aren't you helping the frickin' Justice League? Is it because Batman didn't contact you? You think the freaking mind reader, who's known for being a detective in the comics, would...
Yeah.
You think he would get wind of this? Or see the giant spaceship being reported on news?
Yeah, I wish we got to see more of the intro to Martian Manhunter. Especially because he generally is... Whenever we see him, like, first start with going into the Justice League, he generally goes to them. Because he generally trusts them, mainly because Superman's always like the big alien guy who always advocates for alien rights and stuff like that.
So Martian Manhunter is a little bit of a Superman fan.
Well, I mean, you're supposed to be. It's Superman.
But
I don't know if he would like this Superman, so it makes sense that he went to Batman first.
It's weird that Batman's the more hopeful guy.
How does that work?
Yeah, in this one, Batman really is the more hopeful one, isn't he?
I mean, he literally just talked about having faith in people.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who plans for people to literally betray him at any given moment of time, and he's the one who's talking about having faith and trust into people coming to do what they say they're going to do. That's impressive.
Mm-hmm. And, Flash mentions that Superman was his hero. I was like, why?
Yeah, that didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Okay, but back to Martian Manhunter. We're very fluid in how we talk.
Martian Manhunter went to Batman.
Yes. And instead of the other alien.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you like the Martian Manhunter design?
Wasn't bad. I think it's about as good as they could have got it for a live-action Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
Without doing all CGI.
Though he looked oddly like Piccolo from the live-action Dragon Ball movie.
He did, but better.
That's fair. And I don't get why he was pretending to be Martha Wayne. Like,
That, I don't know.
Like, it just feels awkward to me. It's like, then I'm just wondering, where's Martha? Should she be with Lois?
You'd think that she would.
Because she just got kicked out of her house. Do you think she'd go to live with her, essentially, daughter-in-law?
You would think. That makes sense. But apparently not.
Nope. And, yeah, Martian Manhunter was a wasted thing in this. He was there to be fatty fluff.
Yes, he was. It was unnecessary.
But
Randomly, so was Lois. Lois felt pretty unnecessary until the end.
But, I mean, at the same time, I am also a comic book nerd, so I gotta see Martian freaking Manhunter in a movie like that. Yeah, in a live-action movie. That is, yes.
But I mean, we already have a live-action Martian Manhunter in the Supergirl series.
It's in a big-budget movie. It's not the same.
I mean, it might be the same budget as they had.
Okay, actually, that's probably a good transition into something else I want to talk about. The scenery and costuming was a little inconsistent.
Oh, yeah.
And the costuming. Like, you can tell some of the stuff they had more money to throw at than others.
One thing I heard a lot of people flack on when the first Justice League came out is that the Amazon design was something done by Whedon because of how sexualized it was. It was a Snyder thing! That was news to me. I thought he was going to have a different, whole thing with the Amazon. I thought it was a whole new cut.
Like, I thought that would leave it look cooler.
Yeah, but no. There's still that weird sexualized design.
But like,
instead
it's not,
of keeping the ones they had from the Wonder Woman set.
But like, it's not a sexualized recording of it. Like, I mean, director's view or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, the outfits are a little too suction cuppy for me, but they don't constantly stare at their boobs, so I'm not too upset at it.
We stare at their abs.
Yes!
Like sophisticated gentlemen.
Yes, like there was that great scene where like some of the Amazons were destroying something and we just got a zoom in of their abs and it was like...
Zoom in, slow-mo, zoom out, zoom back in, slow-mo. It was Zack Snyder all over.
He was like, look at them abs! Zack Snyder likes abs.
Apparently.
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious from costume design.
Yeah. But I still don't think... I still would have liked it better if we had the old Wonder Woman outfits. Because these ones don't transition as well. Especially when we see the Wonder Woman outfit itself.
Mm-hmm.
You think it'd be more like that. Like it was in the Wonder Woman movies.
Like, they're not super different, but it looks so much better in her movie. And what do you think? Coloring?
Could be coloring, filters. It could just be the fact that they're all covered.
Also, and like I was saying, with how this movie looks, is like... And some that filter sometimes makes things look worse, and sometimes it makes it look great. Like, there's this scene of Batman riding through some like frozen tundra area, and that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And so is the shot of Lois Lane walking through Metropolis with the rain, and it's just a downpour. Though, did they do a slow mo for that?
They might have. It wasn't as noticeable though.
It's like I did a double take because for a second I thought they were slow moing the rain, and I was like, what? Why?
It does. That would sound like something he would do though.
But maybe I'm just imagining it. But like, sometimes that filter looks beautiful, and sometimes it's like, not really my thing.
I mean, he does like his darker grayscale filter, and it does make some of the landscape shots look really good.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the mountains and stuff that we had like shown of, especially in the beginning, they're really well done shots, and I definitely get to see a lot of his cinematography and a lot of his camera work.
Mm-hmm. But I think it lessens the costuming.
It does. It lessens some of the costuming. The only thing that looks better is the black Superman shirt. I'm sure that would have looked really awkward with the Whedon lighting.
Yeah. Also, why does Superman have the black costume when he goes to fight?
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense of why he has the black one, because he goes to, I'm assuming, is either the Fortress of Solitude or something that has all of the voices of people that he's talking to, and he's looking at the normal Superman outfit, the red and blue one. And then the next thing we see is he turns to like a chest and there's a black Superman outfit in there. And he takes that one. Just like, okay, but why did you go from point A to point B to this one?
Like the black, like I would have thought the blue one would have made more sense to return, because like returning as the beacon of hope to help save the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like the black costume has its place, and it's a comic book thing that I know a lot of people adore. But like, I don't think even thematically it really fit.
No, not really.
Like, wouldn't it have made more sense for him to be wearing the black costume when Doomsday killed him?
Yes. I can see that. And that also makes it humorous even more so to me that when they do the nightmare segment, Superman does come in there, and he's wearing the blue outfit in that one.
Yeah, we'll go more into depth at the post-credit scenes at the end. But, like, yeah, that was a weird thing of that post-credit future Superman in the blue costume.
You think that'd be a good one for the black one?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still wish that they had the Injustice little helmet crown that he has in the game or in the and in the comics.
Like, that would have been such a Zack Snyder thing.
That would have been such a Zack Snyder thing, especially with all of his freaking Jesus portrayals. He could have the crown like almost like a thorn thing.
Also, I did not like the Flash outfit.
Yeah, not really.
I'm sorry. I get it. It makes sense because, like, it's an under thing with armor plating, so more movement. I just don't like it.
Now, as dumb as the little onesie from the CW show is, it does look a little better.
But it's kind of hard for me to be satisfied with the Flash outfit in live action.
It is, because when you look at it, the Flash outfit looks kind of dumb when you think about it. It's just like a red jumpsuit with the little flash bolt on it.
But it looks
pretty much just
great
transitions to a onesie.
But like, it looks great when drawn.
It does. It looks very iconic when drawn, and that's why they made it that way when it was originally. I'm assuming when it was originally created, because it was iconic and it was very clean and polished and simple. And when you try to transition that to live action, it loses some of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they change a lot in the CW where they turn it to actual, like, a different kind of thread count of animations of leather with a different type of symbols and stuff to make it look more, I don't know, workable in live action. But overall, it's still just like a guy in a pajamas with a lightning bolt on it.
Was there any other visuals that really stuck out to you?
Most of the shots with the oceans. I liked a lot of, like, the boat scenes that we had of Aquaman, even if some of them were a little more hilarious.
Well, you mean like him throwing the guy down with like beer?
Yep.
No, whiskey. Forgive me.
Yes. That was fun. The visuals of the moments near the end where we got to see, like, the battle play out was kind of cool. And then we saw the visuals of the Flash as he's racing through time is also really cool.
Yeah, like, that was such a breaking moment of the logic of the movie because, like, that's way too OP. But at the same time, gosh dang it, him reversing time while running forward to undo everyone's deaths was like, okay, like at the end of the movie, everyone dies and Flash just undoes time so they can beat Steppenwolf and Darkseid. And like him time traveling was just so freaking cool.
I mean, it's a lot different than what we usually see in the comics, but I think but I still think I like the way they did it in the live action.
It just looked amazing.
It looked really cool. Like, it looked like something that you could see happening through time, even if... I remember when I first saw it, though, I was kind of miffed just because it wasn't the same as the comic books. Because I was always, like, reading The Flash and how he worked through time travel and crap. And how he'd always, like, either miss the mark whenever he tried to go back in time. Because he would always go too fast to realize how fast he was going through time. But this one, it seems like he knows exactly where he wanted to go and how to be there.
Like... I don't like it because, like, it's too much of a breaking moment, and I'm just like, this, like, if you can do this, you can just beat anyone anytime. Why don't you just spam this sucker? But at the same time, oh, it was freaking cool, and I loved it, and it made me happy. I'm torn.
Hopefully if they kept doing it, they might have brought in consequences for it.
That's true.
That could have been the whole... This is the bad timeline because Superman chose the black outfit kind of deal.
And he did have this thing of time goes wonky when I go too fast. I mean, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that as he was undoing it. Like, something snapping in the background, but that might have been a little much.
Yeah.
And... oh, now I'm just thinking of the Clue slow-mo scene where Flash gives Wonder Woman her Vector sword. Like, that was a good use of slow-mo.
That was a good use, and that was the one that was kept in the Whedon one, so... apparently he thought so, too. But yeah, that was a really good use. But I do also like that this Flash isn't someone who's scared of everything like the first Justice League. I hated that so much. I'm scared of fighting and doing anything. How have you been the Flash for this long?
Oh, and... speaking of visuals, dear Lord Zack Snyder wants us to analyze his symbols. I'm torn on that because, like, on one hand, I do have fun with that, but on the other hand, it also feels like a bit much sometimes.
You don't need to put so much emphasis on every little thing.
On everything is a symbol. No, it isn't. Sometimes the fork is just a fork.
Just let the blue thing be blue. The eyes aren't green because of all this. It's just a screen.
And all the Superman shots of Jesus metaphor, I was like, I'm done with Jesus metaphor Superman.
Yeah, it's definitely overdone.
But that was still a beautiful shot.
It was.
Zack Snyder loves his beautiful shots. Oh, gosh. And, I did also appreciate the visuals in Cyborg's kind of like, high-techy world where everything's a metaphor. But I appreciate that it wasn't the same way we tend to do visualizations of the cyber world.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, so often in the cyber world, it's just all the same now of how it is. But Zack Snyder just made it full-on metaphor. Like, he's adding money to a lady's bank account. Just stacks of money grow. Like, it's kind of cheesy, but I appreciate that it's not the same thing over and over again. Like, it was fresh to me.
It was good. I agree. I really enjoyed it too, especially with the moments of him talking with the mother box too.
And how the mother box was pretending to be him, but pre-cyborg, his mother and his father.
Don't you want your happiness back in life?
I am whole.
Yes.
Like the mother box saying I can make you whole, and appearing to Cyborg as his pre-cyborg self, and Victor saying, no, I am whole, was just very good. Even if I don't think he was actually at that point yet. Yeah.
Another big cool visual thing that I don't know, I just was thinking about it, is in the end when Cyborg, in the beginning of the movie, Cyborg crushes like a hand recorder that his dad leaves for him because he just talks to him via hand recorder because Cyborg doesn't like listening to him. And the end of the movie, he then was able to reconstruct it perfectly through his old Cyborg thing. That looked really cool.
Yeah, like, he's basically a technopath, I guess?
I guess.
Oh yeah, how'd you feel about Cyborg being created with, like, mother box technology?
I mean, it's not a first.
I mean, it gives him a much stronger reason to be there than just being the tech guy.
Yeah, I do like that. It gave us Cyborg with a reason. And he actually being able to detect alien languages and stuff.
Though I'm sick of Cyborg being stuck on the Justice League and not Teen Titans.
I don't think you're going to get that out of the DCEU.
I really am not.
The best we're going to get is the Titans thing that's going on. But
and I don't think he's allowed in it.
No. But hey, they got 2 Robins.
Yeah. Okay, back to the visuals. For the most part, I did really enjoy them. Overall, I'm positive on the visuals, even if I'm not positive on costuming choices all the time.
Yeah.
Is that the best way to phrase it?
I would say so. That's the way that I'd agree with.
Okay. Okay, how you want to talk about pacing and plot?
So, as I said, that this film before is constructed a lot better. The pacing makes a lot more sense. It's a lot more grounded. You can understand what's going on. And that is mainly to do with how the pacing's done. We get to see moments, I'd say a big one that they fix the pacing of is Aquaman. In the first movie, he just shows up to places. In this one, we actually get to see him interact with Mira, as well as Volko. And we get to see him discussing Atlantis and see why he wanted to go help. And we also get to discuss a bit more of how he feels about Atlanteans and his relationship with them. Or should I say lack of relationship with them. So we just get to see a whole much more, and we get to expand upon that. But it also doesn't feel like they're just expositioning dumping everything.
Yeah, but I do really think they could have pared down this movie. Like, there's so much stuff that just doesn't need to be there. Like, some of the slow-mo is too much, and some of the building on things that will never happen is too much.
Yeah.
Like, you could have, you could not have pared it down to 2 hours, but you probably could have pared it down to, what, 3.5?
Possibly. I mean, heck, as much as they want to keep saying that Lois is the key, they could have really just cut Lois off the entire movie.
Yeah, like, she really does very little.
She doesn't do anything, and like her biggest thing she does at the end is basically just exist.
Though and that I'm just not particularly thrilled with Lois's importance solely because Superman loves her.
Yeah, especially because we see in the comics that whenever Superman's gone, Lois goes headstrong still into crap.
And she still helps people.
She still helps people. She still wants to do stuff. She still wants to be a reporter. She still wants to find out the truth. Her entire life is not devoted to Superman. Superman, in a lot of occasions, does feel that way, though, with Lois.
In Justice Universe again?
In Justice Universe. And I think it kind of lessens his act as the beacon of humanity.
Which, to be fair, he isn't in this one.
He's not, which makes sense. Which, I mean, for this way, if this is the Injustice Universe playing out, then I can see why this happened. But at the same time, I really wish that we would see the Superman who was hopeful, humanity's beacon.
And who has a connection to Lois but isn't solely tied to her.
Yeah. Like, why? I just kind of hope that they utilize this Justice League as a way for him to see he's tied to her, instead of already being tied to her.
Yeah.
Like, he was, imagine just being hopeful, humanity's seek a beacon, then he dies, he comes back, kills people, or tries to kill people, then realizes that it's only because of Lois he comes back to his humanity, and that's what attaches himself to her. And that could be a good starting point to get to the Injustice universe, rather than constantly making him already attached to her at the hip in the first Man of Steel.
But I do like the fact that while Lois and Superman's relationship isn't really much focused on here, that the pacing does allow for a lot more interactions between the Justice League characters, which is sorely missing in Snyder's. And Whedon's.
As much as I don't like The Flash that much, he has some good lines with Cyborg and with Aquaman and with Batman. Like, he actually has moments where he's interacting and building trust and relationship. Even if I don't like him as they did him as a character in this.
Mm-hmm. So, would you say the pacing's mostly good, even if it is a little too fluffy?
Yeah. Even with its fluff, though, at least it feels like it's doing something.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 100% always going to be filler in the fluff, but it definitely can be cut.
Though, I was just going to say that with the pacing and the plot, sometimes I was like, bad guy looking for you, maybe get stuff done a little faster. 'Cause, like, the plot is basically, Darkseid came, he lost, he dropped off these 3 mother boxes that all went to sleep. Steppenwolf's here now trying to wake up the mother boxes so he can bring Darkseid, conquer the Earth, fuse the mother boxes to just convert Earth to whatever the heck they do to planets they conquer. And the Justice League is basically trying to keep the boxes away from him. Then they realize, we need Superman and bring him back. But, like, there's this scene where they're digging up Superman and Flash is like, I can do this a lot faster. And they're like, nah. Steppenwolf is looking for your mother box and might find it at any time. And
yeah, that whole sense of urgency thing might have still been a thing they should have tried.
Like, I do appreciate that the digging up Superman's grave thing still allowed for interactions between them, but I'm like, Steppenwolf, looking for you. Dig faster.
Still got a big giant alien guy going after you.
So how'd you like the plot?
Not a bad plot. I think it doesn't vary a lot, or like nearly at all from the first Justice League. It's pretty much the same plot. It's just everything in between is different. I don't think it's a bad plot, I just think it's okay plot for what it's trying to do.
It's no Winter Soldier.
It's no Winter Soldier.
But let's be fair, Avengers wasn't that great of a plot either.
No. They were definitely just to have all the characters on board, which is what Justice League is supposed to be about anyways. It's just an added bonus when they have good moments of storytelling or good pacing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess that's probably the problem with forming team movies, is that it's so much about getting the team together that the plot takes a back seat. So I'm not sure it's necessarily a problem, but it sometimes feels like that.
And that's why Spider-Verse was so good.
Because the plot was the plot really that interesting?
The plot was almost the whole reason why we got the movie. Without the multiverse being around, we wouldn't have all the other Spider people.
I guess that's fair. Also, Spider-Verse hacked how to introduce characters for their movie.
A good 2-minute introduction video. They don't need 20 minutes like this one.
Yeah, like, I didn't, like, the way they did in Spider-Verse would not work here, but dear Lord, I feel like they could have shortened some of those intros.
Yeah, they could have, I felt too. And we didn't have to have that weird Aquaman one. Because that was just awkward. I like to constantly say that, but that was definitely the one that's the most awkward to me.
Like when he's walking out to sea and drinking, and then the song plays and suddenly slow motion just for the song.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, I didn't like the Flash one that much because it was creepy, but at least we understood what he was and introduced him pretty well. Aquaman, it was just like, I don't even know.
What, he just hangs out and helps people?
Pretty much.
Also, okay, one thing I want to talk about now is let's talk about like the end credit scenes and all the setup for things that will never happen.
So, which do you want to talk about first then of these? Because there's like, what, 3 scenes? Or is it just 2? The one that's most sticks out of my mind is the Martian Manhunter scene and the Nightmare scene.
Well, we already kind of talked about how Martian Manhunter showed up to Batman and how he was just there to build stuff up that we'll probably never see again. So I guess go to the future scene.
So the Nightmare scene. Basically this is the apocalypse world where Darkseid and Superman have teamed up to take over the Earth for who knows why. We don't get explanations. Apparently it has something to do with the fact that they weren't able to save Lois from someone.
Like, that just baffles to me why he would team up with Darkseid then. Maybe
Yeah.
mind control?
I mean, maybe. They did that in the Brainiac and Injustice. Brainiac was eventually able to get into Superman because he didn't have the whole hopeful thing, willful thing going on. So it turned into him being Brainiac.
Also, like, they don't make a reveal of that towards the end, but they had flashes in the movie, a hint, I shouldn't say hinting, basically stating that. And then when they have this scene, they're just cryptically talking like, oh, we don't know it's Superman. You basically showed it to us earlier.
Yeah, it was kind of weird that they would try to be so vague about it. But I do remember people saying that this Nightmare scene was a bit tacked on at the end because he wanted some extra scenes in it.
Which is like, this, okay, it's not a real post-credit scene since it didn't happen after the credits, but like, it doesn't add anything to the movie, even if you count it as part of the movie or post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels awkward.
It's not really a part of this whole movie as a whole. It's just kind of like what could have been.
It's like a teaser trailer.
Yeah.
And I didn't really care for it, because like, in the beginning they're like hiding from the parademons and they're all like, we gotta go do this thing, devolve into a little bit of a fight, but then it seems like we're gonna go do it, and then Batman has to devolve into a fight with the Joker, and they have this like slow reveal of it. They're like, the dude has green hair and he's talking like this. I think we know. Oh, that's not even how he sounds. That's a bad take, but like,
It's not how he sounds. I don't think that's how he sounds either. Anyways, he's the Joker. Jared Leto finally gets another moment to shine, which, to his credit, this is probably the best he's done as the Joker. But that's not a very high bar, because Suicide Squad him was, I don't know what they're going for with that Joker.
like, he definitely seems a bit kooky here, but I didn't get much out of his fight with Batman of, oh, you've lost so much. Your mother, your father, your adopted son. Why did you let me kill him anyway?
It's like, oh, yeah, because he let him kill him, alright.
Or, I think it was specifically said, why'd you send a boy wanted to do a man's job? That just, cringe.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a Joker line in a sense, but it doesn't really fit, especially with the situation they're currently in, especially with how, we should go fast, you have to do this thing. He's just like, I'll join your team as long as you hold on to this card. And then what happens? That's it.
I think that's a line that probably sounded better on paper.
It probably did. I feel like, again, because this this nightmare scene was more of a rush scene, because this is the one he wanted to implement into this movie. Added on at the end, because he wanted a moment with Jared Leto and the Batman on the same side. Because his big thing is that people don't give Jared Leto enough credit as the Joker. Which, they kind of don't, but that's also because we only have the Suicide Squad to go by. And he didn't get any justice in that movie. This one, at least, he has a moment of acting like he kind of is the Joker. But because he's so tacked on, it doesn't really fit. And this whole nightmare thing, I mean, it'd be cool to see the Injustice with the Darkseid joining. And it would be cool to have Zack Snyder do the Injustice universe. But it's kind of weird how this is fitting.
Yeah, and it's a bit weird that we're having this hopeful, really cool, we're all teaming up, and then the future's gonna be crap, man.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they pushed that even a bit too hard in Batman vs. Superman. Like, wait till we actually have something established before you're building things up, man.
Yeah, they didn't really do well with building their relationship with Batman vs. Superman.
And then, like, just having the future nightmare scene of the future's gonna be crap, even before we get to really enjoy hope or good stuff. And I don't mean like there were things in Batman vs. Superman and even the Superman movie that for us to enjoy. Like there was some nice, like we can enjoy the fight scenes or the action bits or whatever. But like we never really get to just enjoy being in this world. So having that the future's gonna be terrible is like, well, the future ain't that great now.
Yeah, the world wasn't that good apparently now.
It's like, you gotta make me attached to this world and these characters first before you start saying things are gonna go terribly, horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Dragon Ball Z kinda did this better. In the sense that when they had their terrible future, it wasn't even their timeline. Like, we gotta have basically your cake and eat it too.
Because we had to see both timelines going at the same pace. And even though there's still kind of bad things going on in that timeline, without the whole androids thing, it's not nearly as dark or as crap as Trunks is. Because everyone keeps dying in his timeline, even after he destroyed the androids.
Yeah, like, and it wasn't that we were rooting for the future timeline to be fixed or anything. It was for our heroes that we've already grown attached to prevent it a bit more. And also to kind of help out that one, but like, it wasn't, the nightmare world wasn't the focus. Like, it's not the focus here, but the whole implication of we're careening right towards it, and there's almost nothing we can do.
I think going on with that, one of the things that I think that Dragon Ball Z did well is that let you be in that world, in the timeline world, with an average day, basically, of how Trunks would survive every single day.
So wasn't that the side movie?
No, even the flashbacks.
Okay.
We had a whole, 3-episode flashback of it, too. It's just ironic, because the flashbacks don't coincide with the movie. Because there are moments where Trunks doesn't have the sword, and then he does, and then he doesn't. When you try to compare the two of the timelines and realize that this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, even though they're both done by Toei. Which is why you just do the Akira Toriyama manga chapter of it.
And I don't know how you would necessarily do what Zack Snyder was wanting to do with the future timeline.
You'd have to have a lot more time.
Yeah, and he didn't. And they wanted to establish the Justice League as quickly as possible, which is not his fault.
If they gave him an HBO Max series, that might help.
That probably would have fit Zack Snyder better.
Yeah. Especially because of how long he likes doing things. It'd be a lot better also because of all the twists and turns he likes to add on to stuff.
Also, we can agree all these post-credit scenes were way too much.
Yeah.
There was 3 of them, and I don't even remember one of them.
Oh, the third one is the one that we had at the first Justice League. The one with Deathstroke meeting Lex Luthor.
Oh, I forgot that, because that was so...
To the credit of Jesse Eisenberg, he is a better Lex in this. But he's still not there.
Though I do kind of like their Deathstroke, but I'm always going to be more for Deathstroke and Slade to be against the Teen Titans.
Than the Justice League.
Yes.
But he's a Batman villain!
I mean, yeah. Though, I also kind of feel like he's more of a world villain.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like the Taskmaster.
Yeah, because he's kind of a mercenary, so he's like, I can pop up in any book. Oh, okay. It's complete derail. He popped up in a Superman comic we were reading, and Superman just flicked him away.
Have to kill someone. Superman's like, oh, okay. So what happened? This is why you don't bring people not from your villain world to fight super-powered heroes. Just like the whole Joker going after Clark Kent. Just like this is
Yes. Like,
there is no danger in this in the slightest.
Like Joker went after Clark Kent, and Clark just kept rolling and dodging, and Joker was like, "Why won't you die?
How are you not dead yet? Never had someone do this to me before.
How are you so fast at rolling on the ground?" And Clark's just like, "Please stop trying to hit me."
How does a normal person evade this without looking like they're super powered? Super roll.
That was his solution. Roll on the ground like a fish.
Barrel roll, barrel roll, barrel roll.
Yeah, like, don't send anyone non-superpowered after Superman. They'll just be humiliated.
Yep.
Great, I kind of want that now in a live-action thing of Deathstroke trying to kill Clark Kent, and Clark Kent just being like,
How do I not get hurt but also get hurt? And it just reminds me of the Dragon Ball Z again, with Gohan trying to pretend he's not a super powered person when he fights random thugs. He has to actually get hit. She's just like, oh, you have dirt on your face. Oh, you actually have a mark.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at our notes. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
That's probably a good idea. We kind of went on one very long tangent.
I tried to divide it up into areas, but we would go back to topics.
Yep.
Oh, I can't believe Zack Snyder was the person who had the dumb Superman, Cyborg attacking Superman thing.
Yep.
Like, Cyborg's senses go crazy because they see danger or whatever, and he just is forced to attack Superman, and then he never does that again to anything, and it's just like, the crap? That is so forced.
Yep.
You could have just had Superman start attacking them.
I would have probably rather had that too. Imagine if he like went after Barry first because he looked like the weakest and he just dodged him. The crap! Then that's what set everyone else to fight him.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, random nitpick. Most of Darkseid's people look alien, but Granny Goodness still looks like a human woman.
Pretty much.
Like, that's a weird design choice. We're like, everyone on Apocalypse look alien because they're aliens, except for Granny Goodness. What? Females gotta look human?
They just know that they have to find humanoid life forms in order to have someone else, you know, to be a rogue agent in the world to do stuff. I don't know.
That sentence really got away from you.
Yes, it did. They just want someone to be their rogue agent, to go undercover. But there really is no point in undercover with Darkseid.
No, at least not this Darkseid.
No.
And I'll say this again, Jack Kirby designs trump this.
Yes, they do.
Maybe I'm too much of a Jack Kirby fangirl, but like, no.
Okay, so our concluding thoughts, unless there's something else.
Yeah, I think we touched on a lot of our notes.
And probably expanded upon them further.
Yeah. I think we got everything.
Okay, our concluding thoughts. This is a good movie. It still has lots of issues, but it's good. It's cohesive. It makes sense, and it's entertaining.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's worth your time, even if we spoiled everything for you, because it's comprehensive. It's competent.
Yeah. I would agree with that, and I'm sure there's stuff that we haven't talked about that the movie probably did that we liked or disliked, because there's so much into this movie.
I know. You can really see the time and effort that went into it and really appreciate it.
Snyder is a fanboy, but yeah, I don't know what else to respond to that. He's a fanboy.
Like, Snyder's a fanboy. He's not a fanboy of the stuff I like, or what a lot of
he's a New 52 fanboy.
Yes. Like, he's more in line with that. Like, he's not the fanboy of, like, say, the animated DC universe, like I am. Like, that universe is what got me into comics. So that will always be my preference. And I will acknowledge that as a preference.
Yeah. I appreciate the DC animated stuff too. I was more big on the Superman stuff at the time. The comics, I was more of a Marvel comic fan when I was younger. But that's just because the only DC character I cared about were the Teen Titans. I didn't care about anyone else.
Oof.
Hey, as a kid, it was Spider-Man or bust.
I mean, I can understand that. Though I'll say this. It's weird that I've gotten more into Marvel because of the Marvel cinematic universe, and I've gotten less into DC with the live-action universe, but I'd still pick DC over Marvel, at least comic-wise, in a heartbeat.
And probably animation-wise.
Yes.
No matter how good Avengers' mightiest heroes are.
So, in conclusion, it's very good, but you should probably also check out some of the DC animated movies, because
if you have HBO Max, you could also watch Superman Man of Tomorrow.
That was super good.
Yes, it was.
And I'm not giving away anything for that one.
We can do a spoiler talk later.
So I'll give away this. Martian Manhunter was in it too! Yes!
In a better way.
Though, there's one thing that's a complete cop-out with him.
We're not spoiling this!
It was a cop-out.
It was a cop-out, we're not spoiling it. We're not talking about what the cop-out was.
Fine. Go watch Zack Snyder's Justice League if you have HBO Max and are into that stuff.
And if you like DC in general, Superman Man of Tomorrow.
You're going to keep shilling that, aren't you?
Yep.
They should have paid you for that.
I don't get paid enough.
No one does.
I take that's false. There's few people that get paid more than enough.
Rich people?
Exactly.
Okay. Bye, guys. Oh, let's wave to the people, Scott.
I'm waving. Alrighty. We'll talk to you guys maybe next time. Sorry if our video schedule's a bit sporadic.
Hey, we're trying to have fun with this. We've given up on money. I can't believe we even thought of that then in the beginning.
Yeah, you can't really think about money in the YouTube career. Anyways, you guys don't have to care about this.
Tell us what you thought of Zack Snyder's movie in the comments. I hope you have a great and safe rest of your day. Bye now.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, right.